All right, everybody. Hey, it's Ryan Bridge, the Bugman, and today we are going to have a ton of cool bug fun because I'm going to be mounting beetles. In this case, one big beetle, but this gives you an idea of just what we're talking about. All right, so let me get this into position here so that everybody can get a nice bird's eye view of what's going on. Let me show you a little bit. Let me give you a little tour of what's going to happen. First, I want to point out a couple things. All right, if you notice, there is a lot of pins used to mount up particular insects. The moth that we mounted up earlier didn't take nearly as many pins because, you're not dealing with the legs. And 4 wings and an antenna, a couple of antennas, pretty much it. In the case of beetles and most other insects, you might have 6 legs, both the antenna plus wings. Sometimes we put a wing out, sometimes we put both wings out. Lots more variability and lots more options. And again, bug guys like cool stuff. We like to have fun with the bugs. We like to enjoy what we're doing here. And man, how can you not appreciate those kind of antenna? What in the heck is up with that? Just tons of cool. All right, show you these 2 stag beetles as well. These are very cool beetles. Check out the pinchers on this one. That's a set of choppers going on right there. All right, so you get the idea. Lots of pins. It can be a tremendous amount of work. It takes a little bit of skill and a lot of experience to sort of get yourself knowledgeable on how the anatomy and how the legs move, how the antennae are going to move. Even when body parts, break away, then we come in with a little bit of craggle and we put that back together, and we'll put Humpty Dumpty back together there, and he'll have all his feet, and he'll look good as new. So you get the idea. And it's not always big, scary bugs. Sometimes it's smaller, smaller insects too. Look at these beautiful Bupresses. Just gorgeous. Just gorgeous beetles. And again, 6 legs, antenna, and everything else going on here. So it can be a lot of work. It can be a little overwhelming for somebody who's just learning to do this. So we're going to start out very simple. I'm going to keep things very easy and very low tech today. That's why I did these earlier. They were already relaxed out. They were ready to go. So I wanted to get these out of the boards out of the box before they got too relaxed, and then they would end up molding out. So we're going to set those off to the side. I'm going to bring in a fresh board. Keep in mind, see how this works? This is normally a board that would be mounting up butterflies and moths, but instead, today, it's going to mount up beetles. All right, I'm going to use my normal tools. There's my dentist forceps. I like referring to those as dentist forceps in the case of folks just stepping in, because you know what? You don't have to go to real expensive places. I get these from my dentist, and he gives them to me. So you can't beat that. We're also going to be using, as usual, we're going to be using a couple size 7s, because I always use size 7 pins when I'm mounting bugs and insects, because they just always come in way too handy. And I figure I'm going to need at least 5 of those. So see, I've already got that figured out in my head. I'm probably going to need 5 of those. I'm going to be using my normal box of ball head pins, and that's all I got left. I've already been mounting a whole bunch of bugs this week. Some of those you've gotten to see. Some more you're about to see. And then I'm also going to be using my basics, my 2s, 3s, 4s. Maybe there's a few 5s. That looks like a 5 right there that might be stuck in there. But just some regular insect pins as well. I like to have those on hand. I will not need any slides. I will not need paper strips. I will not need, most of the fun that's involved with the butterflies and moths when you're mounting up beetles and, most of the other insects. Beetles and moths are kind of all in a world by themselves, all right, when it comes to mounting them up. So let's bring in the star of the show. awesome. What an outstanding. Yeah, how can you not appreciate that beetle? All right, this is an Atlas beetle. Comes out of Asia. Just an amazing insect. And check this out. Look at this, man. He was dry as a bone. He would have broken into a million pieces. But ever since I put him in that box, he's been in the box for a little over 30 hours, which is, again, that's probably a little longer than I want him in there. But at the same time, you know, yeah, it is what it is. He'll be okay. So let's get him up here where we can get a good look at him. I'm trying to position him so I don't get him out of the frame, but I also want to make sure you guys are close enough you can see what's going on. So look at this beetle. What an amazing insect he is. And these legs are perfect. These legs are going to move wherever I need them to go. I can almost mount him with my fingers. I'm going to make this look almost too easy. But it's going to be a great example of what we're doing here. So let me zoom back just a little bit. And I'll try and get better at zooming in on parts and pieces when I need to. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take a size 7. Now, you know, I normally use the size 7 pins for moving things around. Now, if I'm losing on some of the terminology, if you didn't catch part 1, because you've already seen part 1 and 2, but hopefully, but if you missed any part of part 1, there was a real good description of all this equipment, including the board that we're using, even including the relaxing container that I use to get these things to soften up and relax, that makes them movable. All of that was in part 1, so go back and check out part 1 if you missed that. All right, so let's get this guy pinned up, because the longer I sit here and blab away, the drier he's going to get and the harder he's going to be to move around. So we already know, hopefully you guys figured it out already, that a lot of the bugs, a lot of the beetles and things like that, they don't get pinned down the center. If you notice, I'll zoom in real quick, give you a nice close look. If you notice, there is I'm going to use a ball head pin so you can see him better. There's a vertical cut, if you will. There's a separation right here. And these wings come apart. The elytras come apart and the wings unfold, and this beetle could fly around. Which is a whole story in itself. To see these things flying is just outrageous. But if I were to pin him right in the middle, it would probably split those elytra. It would offset him. You know, who knows what would happen. I've seen insects break in half doing that. So very rare occasion, but I've seen it happen. I cannot confirm nor deny that I have actually done that. But what we're going to do, we pin most insects to what I like to refer to as a 1 o'clock position. And admittedly, most insects are getting pinned in the thorax, like the moth that you saw that we pinned up. You saw him, he got pinned up in the thorax, whereas the beetles and a lot of these other insects, they pin better back here, which is over the abdomen, but they pin better in the elytras. So we're going to go to the right side, because that's what everybody says we have to do. So my whole life I've been pinning bugs to the right side, because that's what the professionals tell me I need to do. Kind of like not putting holes in moth wings. But in this case, I do follow the instructions, because it works better. And I would pin him in here. And don't worry, I'm not going to use this ball head pin to pin him. I'm just showing people what happens here. So we're going to hold this leg back, and I'm going to put a pin right about there. And that will set him up. And I call that the 1 o'clock position, as if this were a clock, let's say. It makes it easier for some of the kids that I teach, because, you know, keep in mind, man, I'm teaching 6 and 7 and 8 and 9-year-olds how to mount bugs all the time. So I use terminology, I use examples that kids will understand, but I find that a lot of the parents, a lot of the adults appreciate that as well, because it just makes it a lot more, you know, easy to digest the tactics and the techniques and the equipment. So I keep things simple. So we're gonna tap this beetle right about here at the 1 o'clock position, with a nice big number 7 pin. It's a thick beetle, dude. So I mean, look, you know, you're gonna need something that's gonna drive through there. You're gonna need something that's gonna hold him down. If I use one of those regular pins, it's not gonna be nearly long enough to get the job done. So let's go over here, set him up. That's probably perfect. Again, I'm holding this middle leg back so I don't pin through him and stick the the femur of the middle leg and get that all messed up. I've pulled legs right off of bugs doing that already. That's just a shame to ruin a perfectly good bite, but we don't want to do that. So, we got to see if we can drive this pin down into him. He's hard, but it goes. See, we're already through. Got through the elytra, we're into the abdomen, and I can feel that pushing down through. We're going to tap to the bottom. Now, before I push that all the way through, I want to check if I'm straight. So I'm going to turn this, yep, see that? Already not straight. So that's a good thing I looked. Okay, he's pushed this way just a little bit. So I want to come back with that pin. Just a little bit. I'm going to nudge it back a little bit, and I'm going to drive it back down to where I'm just about to punch out the bottom here. But I also want to check, make sure I'm not going to pop this leg off, because I'm a little paranoid about that. I also want to make sure I'm straight that way. If the pin is tilted to the left or to the right here, then I know it's not pinned. And he's pinned really good. All right. Call it just experience. But sometimes that takes a little bit. But you got to think ahead on that kind of stuff. All right. So one end pinned nice and straight. Now I'm going to push that the rest of the way through. And we're through. We're into the foam. Okay, so he's anchored down. So if I wanted to, I could essentially pick this board up and I could tilt it and he doesn't fall off because he's pinned in. Okay. We'll anchor him and we'll do a couple other fun things to him in a minute just to make sure that he doesn't move around too much. Let me get him back to being straight again, because if I'm going to pin him, I want to make sure he's nice and straight. And that is good. All right. Now, he's going to want to pivot and move and shift all over the place. So the next thing I've got to do is I got to come in and I got to anchor him down. And by anchoring him, you'll hear me use that word all the time with mounting bugs because I'm anchoring things a lot. In this case, we're going to anchor him from here, and I'm going to anchor him from over. I'll use the other hand, and I'll anchor him from over here. And now, and those pins aren't in very far, but they're in far enough that it keeps him, less moving is good. I'm going to put 2 more pins up here just to make sure he sticks, make sure he stays put. All right, more pins is always good. And I might have to move these a little bit later if I go searching for his antenna, because I'm going to go looking for his antenna in a little bit. But let's anchor him down. So there he is. Sorry about that. So there he is. Okay, 2 here, 2 here. That will anchor him. He can't really go anywhere. I'm making that beetle do that. Now, keep these 7s up here handy because I may end up needing those. I'm going to bring out a small handful of these ball head pins. I'm going to get these guys set up so that I can grab them in a moment's notice when I need to. I'm going to put 3 or 4 over on this side, and I'm going to put 3 or 4 over on this side. And that way I can take them from that same side and not have to go searching too hard. All right. And we're ready to begin. All right. 4 legs. That's the front legs. Front legs, 4 legs always go forward. So 4 legs go forward. Middle legs on beetles and lots of other bugs and insects are always going to come back. And hind legs, let's reset that so I can move these hind legs around. And the hind legs, of course, come back as well. Now there are some flies, and there are some other like bumblebees and robber flies. Their middle legs actually come out and go forward. So you learn these things as you go along. Insects have different anatomy. They do things differently. Okay, they move differently. They work differently. So move a couple things out of the way, and let's see if we can make this bug do something cool. I think we're gonna be in good shape. All right. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this foreleg. I'll pull this foreleg up and out of here. Watch me. I'm gonna grab the foot on this foreleg, and I'm just gonna drag it right out of the way. Okay? Again, sound effects. We all need sound effects. Sound effects make things fun. So I like to use sound effects. And I'm going to take another pin and I'm going to put it right in here. And we're going to try and a little bit of separation. Watch. I want a little bit of separation there because I don't want the leg to get lost underneath the big horn. But at the same time, I want to push that in a little bit, and there's a reason for that. I'll show you what's going to happen here in a minute. I'm going to push this like this. Okay, it's blocked right here, so it really can't go too far. But I still want to do that. It's going to put some pressure and some flex right here, and that's okay. That's kind of what I'm going for. And I'm going to push a little bit of flex on that, just enough that it moved this out, so that you can see a little more of this. All right, brought more of the leg out, and then I'm going to take a pin up here, and I'm going to pull this, all these segments and this big hook. I'm going to pull that out a little bit. So what I've done is I've brought it out and up and out again. And that separates these sections of the leg so that anybody looking at this beetle can see that this instead of being one solid piece, it's actually 3 or 4, in this case about 10 or 12 pieces and parts. But it just gives it a better appearance. So we come right over here now on this same side, or the opposite side, I'm sorry, and we're going to do the same exact thing. This leg's already sticking out real nice over here, so I don't have to go too far with that one. But I do need to anchor it down. And again, when we anchor things, I like to block and brace, if you will. You know, you work in the package industry, you heard that. I used to empty trucks for a living. And then I drove those trucks and delivered those packages for a long time too. But pull that leg there. We're going to bring this out just a little bit, okay? We're looking for some, I want it to be symmetrical, you know? I want it to be as close as I can to symmetrical. But again, remember what I did here where I pulled this leg, forced this leg in a little bit. So I'm going to block that, and then I'm going to come on right up here. I'm going to force that leg in. Just wedge that a little bit, and that pushes this. Again, putting a little pressure here. Moves the legs and spreads these femurs straight out a little bit. And you learn these are little tricks that you can learn, and I'm probably a little pickier than some people would be. But I want these beetles and I want these insects to look good, because thousands and thousands and thousands of people are going to see them, and I want to make sure they look good. You know, I'm more about keeping the people happy, and I do that with fun bugs, all right, making the bugs look good. So now I'm going to go looking for some antenna. I can come back and do these hind leg, the middle leg and hind leg here in a minute. But I want to go in under here and see if I can dig those antennae out. I don't even know if they're there. So the easiest way to do that is I'm going to use a number 7 pin, my favorites. I'm going to turn him a little bit so I can see a little better. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to search. And I'm just going to move around. I know there's an antenna in here. I just don't know if I have access to it. And if not, I'm not even going to really worry about it. The antennae on these beetles are not real big. It's surprisingly how small they are. And they're, yeah, I can't even get access to them. They're pushed down. So I'm not even going to try. Because you know why? He's got this kind of stuff going on, man. He has this headgear going on. That will make up for all of that. I don't think anybody's going to look at him too closely and ask where his antennae are. They look right past that. All right, let's pull this leg back. Zoom in, bring him up here, and then we'll zoom back in. Show you what I'm doing with these middle legs. Okay, I'm just pulling middle legs back. And this one's back as far as it's going to go because this pin, the pin that I put in right here, has this leg blocked. And I'm okay with that, as long as I didn't punch through the femur and mess up the beetle. But the catch is, I got to make this one do the same thing in order to make it look nice and symmetrical. So I'm going to put a pin there. Straight across, man. Straight across. That's good. Cool. And then I'm going to block there. Grab a few more pins. I'm going to put a pin here. Okay. And this leg can still free float out. It just can't come any further in. Okay. I've got it blocked with this pin. Same thing on this side. So I'm keeping the legs from getting, folding back onto the body and disappearing. I want to keep the legs out there where everybody can see them. Now, I'm going to eventually push the feet out. Move this up a little bit. There we go. I'm eventually going to push these feet outward. And notice what happens when I do that. It moves the whole leg. So now I know I got to block that. So I'm going to anchor that down. And then I'm going to pull this foot out. Not a whole lot. I don't have to do much with it. It's almost in a really good spot. A lot of people would probably leave that hanging straight down like that. I don't like that. That's just not my thing. Everybody has their own thing. I like to bring them out. Nice I'm even gonna bring it out a little further, I think, because I can work with this hind leg. So there, perfect, cool. We'll do that same side. We're gonna work on this same side for a minute, because I'm gonna bring this up a little bit, but not far. That's almost too far. Let me bring this pin that has him anchored in. I'm gonna bring that back. I'm gonna take advantage of that pin being there. So now that leg stops. Look at this. I'm gonna push this forward. It stops right there. Hear it? I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it's actually hitting the pin. All right. Now I know I'm gonna pull this foot out. Okay. I'm eventually gonna be pulling the foot out, but you notice it moves the whole leg. So I know I have to anchor that a little bit. But I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to put a pin to the inside. So now the leg can't go up or down. It can't move forward or backwards. But now I'm going to fold this. I'm going to push this in a little bit. And then, and here's where it gets good. This is a catch. Then I'm going to take this foot and bring the foot out. Look at that. Perfect. Cool. Now we'll come back in and detail a few things here in a minute. Appreciate you guys being with me. Appreciate you guys hanging out. And I hope you're enjoying this. Hope you're getting something out of this. Hope you're learning something. You know, if you never knew how to mount bugs, maybe you do now. Not such a bad thing, not so hard. Blocking and bracing and keeping things where I need them to be, so that way I can move things. Now, notice how this foot is way out here somewhere. I got to bring it in. So instead of putting pin here and dragging it out, I actually have to do the opposite, and I got to bring it in. Look at that thing. It doesn't want to cooperate. So I'm going to do this. It's actually flipped, I think. I don't know if I can roll that or not. I'm almost afraid I'm going to break it off if I do. But I'm going to try, and hopefully I don't break it. There we go. I got it to roll. Sweet. Okay. So now I can move this. Now, this is why you have more than one pin. Now I can pull this foot out there. Look, I'm holding the foot down while I do this, because if I don't, it's gonna flip back over again. And then I'm gonna anchor it just like that. Cool. All right. Here we go. Some more pins. More pins, man. Don't ever go shy on pins. All right? There's nothing wrong with using 150 pins on a bug. If that's what it takes to make that bug or that insect look awesome, then do it, man. Do it. Make it look good. People want to see nice bugs. They don't want to see things that look like roadkill. Give them cool bugs to look at. Take time. You know, there's people, I know people that man, you know, Vernon Brew, he is a bug mounting machine, and I wish I had that kind of talent. He makes me and most people I know who mount bugs, he makes us look like Slowpoke Rodriguez, and he is an absolute machine with mounting bugs. I'm trying to get that to move a little bit better, but it's not quite there. I got it. I forced it just a little bit. Okay, forced that just a little bit, not to break it, but I wanted to get this foot out here where we can see it. You know, I like it. I like it. Now, admittedly, this is not perfectly symmetrical. I'm not real excited about the fact that this. I want to bring this in a little further, because I want to push that foot out further. I want to try and get a little better. I want to try and get, that's going to roll again. You watch. This foot's going to give me problems. It's like a poorly behaved child. And I'm going to push that out. I'm actually going underneath and I'm sliding the leg down the pin right there. It's just a little technique, but guess what? It'll work if I do it right. Put that down, slide it down that pin, and pin it in. Ah! Keep sliding back. All right, let me go. Watch this. All right, that's a little too far, so I'll put that back in now, and I can do that. I'd rather have that kind of control over it. I think I'm going to go with that, actually. That's not so bad after all. All right, I like it. Now that I'm sitting there looking at that, that's not too bad. See that? So it doesn't have to be absolutely critically perfect. It just needs to look good. It needs to look right. It needs to look proper. And with bugs and insects, you know, it doesn't have to look too proper. It just needs to look, I'll try to make it look a little bit alive. Again, there's a foot missing here, so I don't get too wigged out over that. You know, a little bit of crazy glue, a little bit of craggle, and we'll stick that back on there. And nobody's ever going to know. Nobody's ever going to care. I don't think I've ever had anybody look at my displays and pick out the crazy glue. Admittedly, I might be good at hiding that sort of thing. Now, the last thing I'm going to do real quick, because we're running out of time here, I'm going to pin and anchor and get all this stuff, all the pins I put in, just about every pin I put in, I'm now going to anchor those same pins. So if it's on this side of the leg, whoops, sorry about that. If it's on this side of the leg, I got to come on this side of the leg with the pin in order to anchor it. So I got to cross over in order to do that. And now I've crisscrossed the pins over top of that leg, and that keeps it from going anywhere. It can't lift, and it can't move side to side. Completely locks it down, just to make sure nothing else happens. I don't have to do anything with this leg because the pin that I pinned the beetle with has this leg locked in, so I'm good there. But I did have to use a pin over here on that leg. I am gonna anchor this down so that it doesn't lift. So I'm coming over the top with this pin and forcing it down a little bit so it doesn't lift up in the air. And this one's already started to lift. I mean, that's how fast these things go. Watch, I got to push this one down. So yeah, if it weren't for look at that. Look how nice that looks when you do that. Cleans it up real nice. Okay. So you anchor them. You make the bug look the way you want it to look. It doesn't have to look perfect. Don't ever try for perfection, because nature is nature, man. Nature's gonna, you work with what you got, even if it's a broken foot. All right, gonna anchor this. Gonna anchor that. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done. And see if I can come through here. I gotta anchor this down. The pins are on both sides, but nothing's keeping this leg from lifting up. So I've got to come in. I'm coming in underneath the horn and through, under and through and around. And I'm going to push that down and force that pin down in there, and that locks it down. Same thing here. Coming under and through and around. And as long as I'm over top, and I'm actually going to push that down a little bit to do this. I'm pushing it down to make sure that I've got that leg forced down. And then once I'm at this top of the styrofoam, I can push that in. And it's crisscrossed over and anchored in. And guess what, guys? That is a fully mounted Atlas Beetle. That's what it is. That's what it takes right there. And you don't have to be professional. Develop your system, develop your tools. It takes some time, it takes some experience. And it's always a ton of cool bug fun. Guys, if you like what you see here, if you like what I do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, then you need to go to my website, RyanTheBugman.com. That's RyanTheBugman.com. And you need to go to that contact page, and you need to hit me up, and you need to let me know. You can also find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me all over the place. Lots of cool bug fun being thrown out there right now. Just trying to keep the world happy and trying to educate everybody and teach somebody a little something new. And today we were mounting up the Atlas Beetle. How neato is that? All right, guys, thanks a lot. Hey, be well, be safe, and let's be kind. All right, it's a cruel world out there right now, so let's be kind. All right, I will see you guys back here on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. Be kind, but be here. Thanks a lot. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you.